I'm the Staten Island organizer with Transportation Alternatives. And the campaign to bring bicycle and pedestrian access to the Verrazzano Bridge is one that we've been working on for over a decade now. The Verrazzano Bridge is the most direct link between Staten Island and the rest of New York City. Without that direct access to the bridge, we are disconnected from the rest of our city. We think that there are numerous benefits to getting this access. I'll get into those later.
Everyone, I'm Dalen, and I'm here with Sophia. Together, we are the two newest members of the Harbor Ring Committee. The Harbor Ring is a 55-mile recreational route that circles New York Harbor. The ring consists of existing bike and pedestrian infrastructure, but there's one glaring omission in the Harbor Ring. The Harbor Ring is missing the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge. So the Verrazzano Bridge is the keystone of New York Harbor and the Harbor Ring. Since 2012, the Harbor Ring Committee has been working to open the Verrazzano Bridge to pedestrians and bikes. So I personally was born and raised in Staten Island, but after college, I moved to Brooklyn. And now I use my bike as a fast and safe mode of transportation all over the city. I can bike everywhere except right back to the home I was raised in on Staten Island. So opening the Verrazzano to bikes and pedestrians would change that. That's what the Harbor Ring is all about. Right now, the harbor can divide us, especially those of us without access to cars. The Harbor Ring re-envisions the harbor as a place for everyone.
Thanks, Dalen. So I grew up in Sunset Park and biked along the pier overlooking the Verrazzano with my family every weekend. I've only recently begun to explore Staten Island and all that it has to offer, and I wish it were more accessible when I was younger, as it deprives both Staten Islanders and the rest of New York from exploring both sides of the bridge. You don't have to live near the Verrazzano to believe that it should be open to all who want to use it. This is an environmental matter, an economic matter, and a matter of fairness. We're so excited today to be joining our friends at Transportation Alternatives and Bike South Brooklyn as we celebrate the launch of this important campaign. Governor Cuomo and MTA officials, we call on you. Open the Verrazzano.
Thank you.
So hi, my name is Lise Jensen, and I'm with Bike South Brooklyn. I'm one of the co-founders. There's a handful of us on this side of the Verrazzano in Bay Ridge. So we're right by the bridge, and the view is tantalizing, and yet we can't get on it to bike or run or walk over to Staten Island. So we're motivated daily just by our views. But then there are other issues too, like green mobility, obviously, and also now we're in a pandemic. The bike stores are literally selling out of bikes. There's been a lot of articles about that, so it would be a good time to do this. And we absolutely believe that you can use one of the 13 lanes on the bridge right now to do this. And it's not just that we believe it. We've had meetings, a lot of meetings, and we have a lot of support from local officials that we're very grateful for. And what we keep running up against is basically the MTA, which is why we're going for Cuomo, who will be powerful enough to then put the pressure on MTA to make it happen, so that we're not just meeting and fighting for it, but actually, starting doing it. Again, thank you to my fellow fighters with the other groups and all our communities and everybody who said yes to signing the petitions, who have said yes to doing the videos. It's amazing to keep on building a community this way.
So like I said before, we've been fighting for bike and pedestrian access to the bridge for over a decade now. We believe that there are environmental benefits to getting this done. We believe that there are public health benefits. We believe that there are, there's the opportunity to bring in more tourism to South Brooklyn and to the North Shore and Mid-Island. We believe that there are benefits for local businesses. This would obviously be great for recreational usage. I mean, the benefits go on and on. So far, the biggest pushback has been from the MTA itself. And the fact is that they're not directly responsive to public pressure. They don't have to be. And that's unfortunate, but that's just the truth. And unless we find someone who has the power to take them on, then no amount of support by the general public, by local elected officials, by local community leaders, by local cultural institutions, by local businesses, none of it matters. Unless we can find somebody big enough, again, to take them on, then none of the support we have is going to matter. And that person is Governor Cuomo. He is the only person who can help us. And that's why we're appealing to him today. And we are going to be for the next few months, the next few years, or however long it takes. Now I am just going to show you a brief introduction.
In a city of islands like New York City, bridges are connectors between boroughs, between neighborhoods, between people. However, without full bicycle and pedestrian access to the Verrazzano Bridge, the Verrazzano is a divider to those without vehicle access. Transportation alternatives, Bike South Brooklyn, and the harboring are coming together to say that the Verrazzano has divided us for too long. It's time that Staten Island and Brooklyn were connected. As this video shows, there are many who feel the same way. There's a community of supporters stretching across New York City who stand with us as we call on Governor Andrew Cuomo and the MTA to provide access for bicycles and pedestrians to the Verrazzano Bridge. It's our bridge.
Hi, Governor Cuomo.
Hi, Governor Cuomo.
Hi, Governor Cuomo.
Hi, Governor Cuomo.
Governor Cuomo.
I am really encouraging and urging the MTA and New York State Governor to create a bike path across the Verrazzano Bridge. Why? It allows people that otherwise would use a car to use emission-free transportation across the Verrazzano.
This is something concrete in terms of a green action locally.
Climate change is real, and we need to find transportation alternatives. We need to bike more and use fewer cars.
Hi, Governor Cuomo and the MTA. We're here at the Stand 4 Gallery in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, asking for a bike pedestrian lane over the Verrazzano Bridge.
The Verrazzano Narrows Bridge is so close to my heart. I watched that bridge when I was a little girl from my grandmother's apartment. And what we would love to see is a bike lane so we could be part of the green environment.
I use a bike to get around. It's nimble, it's non-polluting, and I think it's important for people that use bikes to have the same level of mobility to get around their city as people driving cars.
It will allow bikers to travel to Brooklyn much faster without being mandated to take the Staten Island ferry.
We get a lot of interest from kayakers that would like to come here also, and many people don't want to drive. People in other boroughs aren't as car oriented as we are.
It's the missing link in something called the Harbor Ring. If you can imagine being able to walk or ride a bicycle and make a circumference loop around the waterfront in all of New York City and include Staten Island as part of it, this would be a missing link.
Hi, I'm Sophia.
Hi, I'm Dalen.
And we're from the Harbor Ring, which is a 50-mile recreational route along New York Harbor. The Verrazzano is not only the last missing link to the route, but it also connects two parts of the Congressional District 11, which is the only one that isn't walkable or bike-friendly.
I grew up in Staten Island and I live in Brooklyn now, and almost every day I think about the bridge and I wish I could bike to my parents' house in Staten Island, and I just can't. Especially with the current coronavirus, biking is probably the safest way to get around. And I think into the future, we have to stop thinking about cars as the only solution. I think bikes are probably going to be one of the ways we solve the climate crisis.
This piece that connects Staten Island to Brooklyn, I think, would help us unify us as a city. And help the economies of both Brooklyn and Staten Island.
It will build a stronger community amongst islanders. Like, we're very separated, and I think that will definitely make us stronger.
It would be a great
great way to exercise. It would make our air a little cleaner, and it would be really good for the economies on both sides of the bridge.
So I think it's advantageous, it's good for the health, it's good for the community to have a bike path on the Verrazzano Bridge.
We're all one city. We're all one city and all one waterway too. So it makes sense that this is the only major bridge that doesn't have pedestrian transport.
We need this and there's no reason not to have it. It would just be so great. It's for our health, it's for our peace of mind. It adds Staten Island to our options.
I'm Angela Azzolino, the Executive Director of Get Women Cycling. We need another passageway to get from New York City, Brooklyn to Staten Island. Our friends, family, and businesses are there. We have the ability to use our legs to help the environment and to be greener and sustainable all around.
Hi, I'm Carlos Menchaca, City Council member here in South Brooklyn, Sunset Park. I am in support of the movement to bring a pedestrian and bike lane on the Verrazzano and really connecting the entire city together in a network so that people can ride safely across the Verrazzano Bridge. The community is united in one front. Let's do it now. Si se puede.
Hey, Governor Cuomo, MTA. My name's Rose. I'm the Staten Island organizer with Transportation Alternatives, and I want to talk to you about something that matters a lot to me, and that's the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge. That bridge is the only direct link between Staten Island and the rest of New York City, but the people who I represent have no direct access to that bridge because there is no bicycle and pedestrian pathway. People have been fighting for a pathway to that bridge since the bridge was opened in 1964. I think that the time has come, and we need you to fight to create that bicycle and pedestrian pathway. Please hear me and the thousands of others around New York City who support bringing bike and pedestrian access to the Verrazzano Bridge.
Imagine a path on the Verrazzano for walkers and cycling too. Imagine a path on the Verrazzano between seas and skies of blue. Imagine all the people sharing the VNB.
Imagine a foot connection for our island in the bay, and our link to the harbor ring. Hip hip hooray. Imagine all the people sharing the VNB.
You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. There are thousands who want to join us, make the VNB for everyone. Imagine reducing our carbon footprint and helping with climate change. Tell the governor and the MTA the Verrazzano must be rearranged. Imagine all the people sharing the VNB.
You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. There are thousands who want to join us. Make the VNB for everyone.
So we are continuing to collect videos from all who want to send one over. I'm calling on Governor Cuomo and the MTA to step up at a long last, listen to the voices of the people, and connect Staten Island with South Brooklyn. There are also a few other quotes from elected officials that Annalise, if you want to read to us, can I get you back on, Annalise?
Mathilde Frontes. Since its opening, New Yorkers on both sides of the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge have been fighting to make the bridge accessible to pedestrians and cyclists. Robert Moses' ambitious but limited design left no room for anything other than cars and trucks. But we cannot be trapped by an outdated and failing transportation model. All roads are shared roads. It is time to create a pedestrian and bike path on one of the bridge's 13 lanes. The climate crisis, economic uncertainty, and the struggles of our mass transit systems demand that the Verrazzano be accessible to all. From Assembly Member Mathilde Frontes. So thank you for this support, Mathilde.
Thanks, Annalise.
Thanks. Okay, so Andrew Gennardis says that it's crucial that we fight for connected bike and pedestrian infrastructure for all New Yorkers to enjoy. This open space will be critical in contributing to vibrant economic growth as well as access to outdoor space and exercise for all. I am proud to champion the Harbor Ring initiative and will continue to be a partner in the efforts to make it a reality.
Great. So that's from State Senator Andrew Gennardis, and thank you for that. That's a really great statement in partnership with this fight. I'm going to read a quote from City Council Member Justin Brennan. Justin Brennan said, "I have always been in support of installing bike and pedestrian pathways on the Verrazzano Bridge. It has always made sense to me to link Brooklyn and Staten Island, just like Brooklyn and Manhattan are linked. Why should cars be the only way to get across the bridge? I look forward to seeing this common sense proposal becoming a reality sooner rather than later." So thank you, Councilmember Brennan. And we can hand that off to read maybe a quote from Debbie Rose to the next presenter.
So I am going to read a quote of support by my own council member, Debbie Rose. And she wrote, "I know that the construction and engineering for bike and pedestrian lane is not going to happen overnight, but I call on the MTA to move forward with planning so that pedestrians and cyclists can cross the Verrazzano Bridge. All who use our roads should have access to this crucial link between Staten Island and Brooklyn." So thank you for those powerful words, Councilwoman Rose. And you also heard the words of support by Councilmember Menchaca in the video. So as you can see, we definitely have elected support. In the past, we've also had support by Senator Golden, by Assembly Member Catone, and from plenty of other electeds on both sides of the Verrazzano. One question that we commonly get from folks is, how we would actually get this connection. How would the actual engineering take place? And so do any of you guys want to tackle that?
Yeah, hi. So as I was saying before, what we support is simply using one of the existing lanes. There are 13 lanes on the Verrazzano. And if you go to our website, there's some very nice illustrations that Dan and John have done that shows how you would access it, which is basically what people are already using now when the marathon is happening, when there's a 5-borough tour. And so it would be on the lower level and not anything that would cost millions and millions of dollars to do. It's just using what we have, because it's not as if there's a lot of extra money floating around for infrastructure projects right now. And this could be done, and it could be done safely with barriers. So that's what we support at Bike South Brooklyn.
From the Harbor Ring perspective, we definitely support the Bike South Brooklyn approach. We think that using an existing lane makes a lot of sense. But overall, our call is just to the MTA, hey, we want this bike and pedestrian access. So we'll take, what you're going to give us. We think that the taking over lane is a common sense proposal. But if they're willing to build out a new lane, we'll take that, because we just really want to be able to bike and walk over the bridge. That's really what the urgent need is, the urgent want. So that's all that's our position from here.
Okay. So Linda asked, how much money would this cost? That has been a big issue in the past with the MTA kind of inflating what the potential cost of this would be in order to scare people and make it seem as if adding bike and pedestrian access really were not feasible. In the past, the MTA has cited figures in the hundreds of millions of dollars. It doesn't have to cost that much. Yes, if you wanted to, add a whole new lane onto the bridge, then that could be a very expensive project, but that's not the only way. You can also just convert one of the existing lanes at a very low cost, quickly and safely. So any price tag figures you may have heard from the MTA in the past, those figures were artificially inflated to make it seem as if this project were not feasible. Another question that we commonly get is how might this impact traffic? So over at Transportation Alternatives, we believe that adding another option to get over the bridge can really help to relieve traffic. A lot of people believe that, or believe in these kind of scare tactics where if you take away one lane, it's going to be Carmageddon. You're going to have all this backed up traffic for days on the bridge. Honestly, the bridge is not at full capacity right now. The bridge is not near full traffic capacity. The MTA is planning to do work on the bridge where they're going to need to shut down one of the lanes for at least 6 months. And when asked by others how this would impact traffic on the bridge, the MTA said themselves that they don't expect this to impact traffic. And so if they can shut down a lane for 6 months, but yet, they're telling us that if they convert a lane to bike and pedestrian usage, it would have way too much of an impact, then they're kind of speaking out of both sides of their mouth. So another question that we get pretty often, who would use the paths? One, you would get usage from tourists. 2, there were tons of bike and running groups on both sides of the bridge that would love to use it, and also just regular everyday commuters.
I would like to talk about small businesses that are especially hurting right now, and a lot of our local restaurants are almost being depleted. And one of the ideas that we have been talking about also for years now was to do at one point it was called Summer Street, where people would go across the bridge to one another, visit one another's restaurants, get little coupons, so that it's about supporting local economies in addition to being a green option. And again, I think that has been even more enhanced as a need during the pandemic right now than it even was before. A lot of the restaurants all over the city are putting out heaters, they're putting out blankets. Even the ones that are not in the street, a lot of them have they have little gardens where you can be socially distanced outside. So I almost feel as if just like we did unopening today, it's called an unopening because it was never opened with full access to everybody. Then we could also have unsummer streets, unwinter streets, where we're doing this, where it's like we can go on our bikes to our local places and then communicate with our friends across the bridge who are then supporting their local businesses. But I think that's a crucial part of this, that it's economically viable.
Thank you, Annalise. And also, just to clarify, one thing that she had mentioned with the unopening, that's to refer to the fact that today is technically the anniversary of the opening of the Verrazzano Bridge, which opened on November 21st in 1964. We like to call it the anniversary of the unopening of the bridge, since it is not fully open to everyone. Another question that we commonly get is, why haven't we been granted access to the bridge yet? Okay, so Yeah, I guess I will begin. And I want to start by saying that, as some of you know, the original plans or the original draft of the Verrazzano Bridge actually did include bicycle access for, bicycle and pedestrian access. It was taken out by Robert Moses, who just believed in a city that was for drivers. He's the reason why we didn't originally have access to the bridge, and now it's just the MTA. To them, the Verrazzano Bridge is a cash cow. They care about getting tolling money. And so when it comes to people who wouldn't pay tolls, they just don't care. Does anybody have anything to add?
Hi again, everyone. So the Harbor Ring has been working towards this idea for a long time. And as Rose said, at the very beginning, when Amon and Whitney, the engineering group that designed the bridge, put out the plans for the bridge, there was in the plans a bike lane. And as Rose said, the bike lane was taken out by Robert Moses, who was such a car-centric, horrible person that we all have deep anger with. But sorry, to continue, there have been recent calls and recent plans for adding new bike paths to the Verrazzano Bridge. So as recently as 2013, there was a new study put out that analyzed the feasibility of a bike path on the bridge. Unfortunately, that plan has not been released to the public. And that's another thing that we're fighting for, not specifically today, but in general at the Harbor Ring. We're fighting to have that plan released because we know that could be shown to the public and we could see actually what's feasible in terms of opening up a path for the bike path and pedestrian path.
The only thing I want to add before we do wrap up is, for folks watching or for folks who will be watching in the future and want to get involved, there are two main ways you can do so right now. You could either send in your own 30 to 45 second long video explaining why you would want bike and or pedestrian access to the bridge using the hashtags OpenTheVerrazzano and the hashtag VB4P, which stands for Verrazzano Bridge for People. Or there is a petition that I have put in the comments bar that you can sign. And I know that Lise has her own petition from Bike South Brooklyn. And yeah, those are the main ways that you can get involved. And I hope that you will do so. Thank you to everyone who joined me today. And have a great afternoon and weekend. Bye, everyone. I'm just going to put everyone back on so we can all wave goodbye together. Hold on.
Bye.
Okay, bye.